Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Gibbs, and I am passionate about helping scholarly mamas like you navigate your journeys with purpose so you can achieve your life and academic goals without sacrificing what matters. The reality is that scholarly mama life is multidimensional. We're scholars, yes, but we're also mothers, wives, and so much more with whole lives outside of academia. So how do we successfully navigate all this? Well, first, we need the space to embrace this unique blend. Only then can we begin the important work of becoming purposefully whole. And part of my own purposeful work is to create a space for us as scholarly mamas to grow, to reflect, and to become everything that we were meant to be. So, mama, are you in? Fabulous. Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey mamas, welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. In this episode, I'm going to begin with all the things that are not the hardest part. They're hard bits, but they're not the hardest part. Then I'll finish with what is the hardest part of navigating a scholarly mama journey. So when we think about what is actually the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama, it's not the opportunity cost of not reaching other career milestones while you're on that journey. Of course, there is an opportunity cost because maybe you are in a job where you're not actually getting a salary increase because you're being supported to do your PhD, or maybe you are, you put off trying to advance your career in certain areas so that you can focus on navigating your scholarly journey. That could be it as well. And there are countless other areas where the scholarly journey itself may be costing you other opportunities. And, this is not to say that the scholarly journey itself is not an opportunity, because it is an opportunity. It's a different type of opportunity. But as you are on that journey, you may notice that other areas of your career life take a bit of a backseat because you are busy pursuing your PhD or your scholarly pursuits, right? And so it might be that while you are on your scholarly journey, you miss out on certain things. For example, you miss opportunities for promotion or whatever because you are developing your career through learning, right? Maybe you're not getting experience in other areas of your career while you are pursuing your advanced degree. So they are opportunity costs, and perhaps there'll be others that are colleagues of yours that you might see progressing while you are on your scholarly journey, right? So there's that, but this is not the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. It's also not the additional time and energy it takes you to reach your goals. So this is obviously a thing. As scholarly mamas, quite a lot of us may be doing our PhDs part-time, working elsewhere. Some of us may be doing it full-time, but then we're making time sacrifices in other areas. But either way, it takes us additional time, if not energy, to reach the goal of finishing the scholarly journey. And so in many ways, it is, it's a hardship, right? It's a hardship of navigating this journey as a mama. That additional time and energy and effort to navigate this scholarly journey while you are dealing with real life at home. You're raising your kids, you're taking them to all their different activities, or you are dealing with homework, dealing with meltdowns, dealing with all of that. And so I think there is an additional cost of time and energy as well as you are navigating this journey as a mama. But it's not that. It's not that, right? As hard as the juggle struggle of real life, home life, and scholarly life might be, that's not the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. It's also not the tiredness and the exhaustion or even the disappointment that you feel when you have to pour from an empty cup. And I am always saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You cannot. But there are times on this scholarly journey as a mama where you feel like you have no choice but to pour from an empty cup because there's nothing more to give. There's nothing more to give. And you just feel like you are at the end of your tether or like you're approaching your limits. And I think that that is incredibly hard. And it's one of the challenges that we face as mamas on this journey. But that's not the hardest bit. That's not the hardest bit. It's also not the stress of the research deadlines and the pressures to finish your degree while real life is happening all the while. So just because you've got kids at home, just because you've not slept for 3 days, just because your kids are sick and pass it on to you and you've got to then deal with that, or just because you've got loads of other responsibilities to manage, doesn't mean that this is the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. Just because you've got those parents' evenings and other things to also show up for, in addition to all of the other deadlines that you've got going on, doesn't mean that the research deadlines and the pressures to finish are not there. Oh yeah, they're there. They're there. And you've got to find a way to navigate that. And that is hard. That is one of the difficulties of pursuing an advanced degree as a mama. So while you are raising a family, it is very, very difficult. But it's not the most difficult bit. It's also not the temptation of perfectionism and overwork and prestige. Trust me, that is definitely a thing. That is definitely a thing. The pressures to be perfect in all things, to do the most, to pursue the most prestigious outcome, those pressures are there. The temptation is there. And sometimes you've got to dig really deep to resist that temptation, especially if you find yourself surrounded by people who value the pursuit of prestige over all else. So over family, over, having a social life, over doing the things that bring them joy. If they only care about the prestige that comes with this journey, then you may find yourself feeling pressure to conform to that when you know that you've got other responsibilities and other things that you value more than prestige. But that is not the hardest thing. And then it's also not the intellectual challenges of the research itself, the writing marathons, the feedback that you've got to deal with, the failures that you will encounter along the way. So there's all of that, and it's challenging. You've got to really approach your academic work with an attitude of learning, an attitude of excellence, an attitude of growth and development. But again, it is not easy because it's one thing to to sit in a bubble, right? And just kind of come up with your own ideas. When you've got to read other people's ideas and critique those ideas and incorporate those ideas into your own thinking and your own conceptualizations, and then you've got to write your thoughts and write your arguments, and then you've got to obviously defend those. But before that, you've got to deal with feedback from supervisors and all of that. And again, that's not an easy thing to do when you're also raising little humans and trying to help them to become the best possible versions of themselves as they grow and learn and become and face challenges too, and you as their mama, you're navigating that and also thinking about the learning and the writing and the challenging thoughts and the feedback and the research work that you're doing. When you're also thinking about all of that and navigating that alongside raising your kids, but also keeping a roof over their heads, like paying bills, like managing a house, managing a busy house, doing everything that comes along with that, and trying to build and grow in your relationships as well, and with your spouse or your partner. And you're also navigating work life. Like, you are doing all of this, and you also need to be at the top of your academic game. And that is not an easy thing to do. But that is not the hardest thing. It's also not even the challenges of organizing your busy family schedule, plus managing your own energy, right? That is incredibly hard as well. So juggling everybody's schedules. We've got a family of 5 and 3 kids, all at different ages and stages of growth, development, and education. So we've got from teenager to toddler, and there's so much that happens in between, and being able to adjust to that, right? It's navigating all of that, right? From dealing with the emotions of a teenager to potty training and bedtime routines and things. There's a whole lot that happens in between, right? And so having to juggle all of that and then manage your own energy, having to try and organize your life as a working mama. It's also, working out the tasks you've got to do for your work, your studies, your family, your kids, to keep the house going. But having to juggle all of those things, organize them on your calendar, make sure you're not missing deadlines, make sure you're not missing appointments, make sure you're not missing parents' evenings, make sure you're not missing this, make sure you're not missing that. Keep on top of what everyone's doing and navigate all of that while you are still trying to look after your own self and manage your energy. Then again, that's really difficult. That is not an easy feat. But it's also not the hardest thing. Managing your energy and your emotional well-being is, it's right up there at the top of hardships, if you will, of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. There's no debating that, right? But now that we've kind of talked about all of the hardships that come with this journey, now I want to actually share what I think is the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. The hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama, I would say, and again, this is just my opinion, is the isolation that you feel when you are really in the thick of the juggle struggle. It's the lack of connection with those who have, 1, been where you are, 2, achieve your desired outcome, and 3, done so without sacrificing everything else just to achieve it. It's a lack of connection with people who have done those things. Because when you are in the thick of the juggle struggle, when you are feeling isolated, what you then begin to think is, this isn't possible for me, right? It's great that other people have achieved that and they've done that, but I've got a unique set of circumstances and it's not going to work for me. This isn't possible for me. And that lack of connection with people who've been where you are, who've achieved your desired outcome, and who've done so without sacrificing everything else just to get it, means that you have no frame of reference. You have no source of inspiration, right? You are at the mercy of the pressures and the overwhelm of the juggle struggle. And this is why I say it's so important to really connect with those who have been where you are, who have achieved your desired outcome, and who have done it without having to sacrifice everything else in order to get it, right? That's the key. And that's the hardest part of navigating a scholarly journey as a mama. When you don't have that, when you are in the thick of the juggle struggle and you feel like nobody gets it and you feel like it's not possible for you. Because at that point, all you really want to feel and believe is that it's possible for you as well. And I believe it's possible for you. I know it's possible for you because I have lived this experience myself. I have been through it. I know how challenging it is. And I know that there is a way through this. There is a way to achieve your scholarly goals without sacrificing what matters to you. And I have done it in a way that you can too, because I am not anyone special. I mean, I'm not saying that like, oh, I don't have self-belief or anything. I do, but I'm just saying there's nothing unique about me that others who are in a similar position cannot do. There are sacrifices that have to be made because we know that there are no perfect journeys. We know that there are only purposeful journeys here. But if you're willing to make those sacrifices, if you're willing to put in the work to actually turn your juggle struggle into your purposeful journeys of becoming, you can achieve purposeful success as well. And by the way, if you want to know more about how you can achieve purposeful success in 4 simple steps, please do head over to scholarlymamas.com and make sure you join us for free on our Explore plan, because inside the Explore plan, you can then watch our PhD with Purpose Maminar, which will teach you how you can do just that. And so as we round up this episode, I just wanted to remind you that you can achieve the desired outcome. You can achieve your goals. You can achieve your scholarly goals without sacrificing what matters. And the very thing that you feel is the source of the overwhelm, this juggle struggle. And, I've got kids, I've got family, I've got my scholarly goal, I've got work, I've got career, I've got all those things. But really, it's about knowing how to transform that juggle struggle, right? And it's about believing in what is possible, connecting with other mamas who understand this journey, but also connecting with other mamas who have been where you are, who have achieved the desired outcome, and who have done so without sacrificing everything under the sun to achieve it. Because that's really important. Really, really important. You want to find somebody who has done what you want to do in a way that aligns with your own values. Very, very important. And that is only as a source of inspiration for you, because our situations are all different. No two journeys, academic journeys, are going to be the same. But when you have the tools, you can apply them to any situation. I remember a long time ago this is a bit of a side note. Long time ago when I was I was doing my MRes at the time. And I remember sitting in a lecture, and the lecturer said, we were talking about research methods, and the lecturer said, if you only have one tool in your toolbox, I think she was talking about paradigms and, the fact that, some people are just consider themselves one way, positivists, for example. And if you only have one tool in your toolbox, you will only ever be able to solve one problem. If you want to match your research problem, your research question with the right methodology, then you need more tools in your toolbox. And so that resonated. I've never forgotten that, because that's exactly the challenge that I encountered on my PhD, and I had to get more tools inside my toolbox when I decided to shift methodologies. And I ended up using mixed methods, right? For that same reason, because it's not about what you want to do, it's about what methods suit the research question. And so if we extrapolate the same idea to, navigating a scholarly journey as a mama, perhaps it's not that we don't know what we're doing, or we aren't capable of doing this successfully, but maybe it's that we need other tools inside our toolboxes. Anyway, side note, ended. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you that once you have the tools in your toolbox, you can then apply them to whatever situations you encounter on this journey. And maybe you need to add other tools that, are new ones, or you've learned something new that applies to your journey. But whatever that may be, just know that it's possible for you as well. And people who have done this are not some magical angels who, have got special powers or anything. They're ordinary mamas, just like you, who were exactly where you are, who achieved the outcome that you want to achieve, and who did it in a way that aligns with your values. That's it for today, Mama. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And until next time, take care. Sending you lots of love and lots of gratitude. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you did and you want in on this movement, why not head over to mrsmummyphd.com. You can join the waitlist for our exclusive community of smart, purposeful, scholarly mamas. We'd love to see you on the inside. Remember, Mama, these are our journeys of becoming.